So one of our content creators in the community, Epic Slayers, talked about an article for Tom Clancy's The Division 2, where I think it was Yannick that was interviewed, and they talked a little bit about the support that we're getting for the Division game and how this came about after the game had already reached the point where the developers were going to stop development and move on to other projects. Now, I don't know if this is like a PR move or something, but I know Ubisoft Massive is very, very careful about how they put out their information. So this could be a move to just kind of continue to explain why they actually first announced that, hey, we were going to stop, our support of the Division 2, and then eventually they went ahead and they changed their mind. So I think this is from Alex Coe at MP First. And shout out to Epic Slayers for actually, walking through this article. But there are a few things that I wanted to talk about, and it's not necessarily just this particular article. But let's read the first question, and we'll read Yannick's first answer. Then I'm going to segue into what it is I want to talk about right now. So MV First says, interestingly enough, a lot of people, this is the interviewer, ourselves included, thought that the Division 2 wouldn't be getting any major content drops, especially after Studio planned for Title Update 12 to be the last major update, and then releasing season reruns in 2021. Then the state of the game dev streams ending as well, and add in how Massive is now doing a big Star Wars game. Can you explain what happened and how you're pivoting now to a full year 5 support? And Yannick says, it's crazy when you think about it, huh? That's the beauty of it. Okay. It's been quite a real roller coaster because, yes, the plan was after update 12, at the end of 2020, the plan was to stop supporting the game. Because, as the question mentions, we started working on a Star Wars game. We have the Avatar game. Everybody's busy at Massive. And the idea was that we just need the people on the projects. It wasn't because the Division 2 was bad, just needed the people on other projects. You know what happened is this game remained successful, probably more successful than we had anticipated after the release of Warlords of New York and the different seasons. So that allowed us to kind of resume the conversation internally of maybe we should keep going. So, sweet and short, most of the team is working on the Star Wars and the Avatar game, but the Avatar game, in my opinion, should be nearing its completion. We don't really know the progress of the game, and I made this video to say, Massive, why did you stop? You had a very successful product, a very viable product, and you decided to abandon that product. And I think now, in today's day and age, when many studios are failing to replicate even a small fraction of the success of the Division 1 and the Division 2, we're not even moving to Destiny numbers, that it's probably something where they need to revisit those internal conversations to move forward to another full-fledged Division title. We know that Heartland is something they want to bring out maybe for some free-to-play purpose, but that is not, so far from what I'm seeing, appealing in the conversations to a lot of the people who play the Division, the people who are spending money on the game currently. Because this is what's happening. I don't know if many of you know, a lot of the Division agents that are currently still on the game are still going ahead to, spend money. They're still going ahead to make financial decisions on the game. They're still going ahead to buy season passes and so on and so forth. It is because of this that they still see the game as, in a sense, viable, successful. The words Yannick is using is because even at now, when they bring out these seasons, there's still a good number of agents that are buying enough currency, enough items within the game that almost equals maybe even half the price or more of a full-fledged copy of the Division. Let me give you kind of the numerical side of what I mean. When they bring out a season, reward track, that's $10 for you to actually get that. And then when they bring out other, cosmetics and so on and so forth, the average player will spend a minimum of $10 for the season track. I haven't spent any money since the first season track was given away for free. I just did not. And then if you think about, say, all of the other aspects that you can actually buy currency and all of the other stuff that you can use to get, other cosmetic items and so on and so forth, I would say that right now there are people who are spending $30 to $50 extra on the game. An extra $30 is basically half the price of the $60 price tag at launch. $50 is basically sitting at the price point when the game launched on PC in 2019. When you have players across the board continuing to make these purchases, it shows that they really do want and really do dial in to what the division has to offer. The progress that you've made is not something that you just want to go ahead and cancel and start a whole new free-to-play game that you don't necessarily know where to go. What I think players want is something that really does resonate with them in that regard, where they can get a new game, a full-fledged game that's going to continue to receive support. And Ubisoft Massive, in my opinion, needs to prioritize that right now. Now, that is on the player side. The industry side also dictates that right now players are looking for viable games that they need to play. Just the other day, Star Wars Jedi Survivor was released, and when the game came out, it really went through a lot of issues and, back and forth and all of this stuff. You also have games like Gotham Knights that also came out that people thought was going to be a live service game, was not a live service game. But then when Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League got announced, it really did, it kind of rubbed people the wrong way because they didn't necessarily want a live service game in the superhero genre. But I think a lot of these studios they're trying too hard. They're trying to make it happen when Ubisoft Massive already has the formula just sitting right there. And then they're over here contemplating, should we continue? Like, from a business perspective, I don't think that's a question. I think that should be a certainty. And I don't think that they need to basically go ahead and stop. Who is running the ship at Ubisoft Massive? The production cost to make another Division game from a studio like that, with the experience, with all of the assets, the processes, the systems, the mechanics that have already been pre-built, the AI and so on and so forth, will be way much less than having gone to go ahead and invest in a new Star Wars game or in an Avatar game. The chasing of this Hollywood money that Ubisoft Massive is engaged in my opinion, may become viable, but at the same time, the cost of living on an already established paying player base is way too high for my own understanding anyways. I mean, I don't necessarily see how you can do that. Now, I'll give you some personal numbers, understand this. Even here on the GamerDad channel, right? I cover the Division content primarily. When I cover content from other video games, it's hard for me to go ahead and just not make Division videos for a good amount of time. I have a whole separate YouTube channel, and that's why I did that. I did not want to abandon my Division project and my Division audience members, because I understand that they're an audience that actually does provide the metrics that I want to see on YouTube. So it didn't make any sense for me to add my new content to this channel. Rather, it made sense to separate it. It was hard, but that other channel has done well for itself. I now have an audience there. But that's exactly one of the reasons I made that business decision, because it's already free flow. That's why I hardly make any content here other than the Division, because whenever I do these days, because I'm really busy nowadays, but I still come back here and we still talk about the game from time to time, maybe every week or every other week. And so I don't see how Ubisoft Massive, having a much bigger platform, having a host of content creators, a host of communities and Discord servers that are able to continue the game's legacy in regard to sales and content and continually playing the content that's in the game, can say that, oh, we didn't know if we wanted to continue. They should have kept the hiring and training process going to continue to invest in the Division. This is why in that Ubisoft, many of you remember, right, that we at first thought that there was not going to be any Division content at first. And then in that, meeting with the investors, there was an investor that asked a question. This was a long time ago. There was an investor call. An investor said, so are we going to see anything with the Division? What's going to happen with Star Wars and Avatar? And their CEO went ahead and said there was still going to be more, Division content coming. It was maybe the CEO or COO, I don't know. One of the Guillermo brothers, anyways, on that call said that there was going to be continuation in the Division project. So this is why we're still here. And I don't see why, if the investors are seeing how viable the Division is, and how they were a little concerned that these new projects may take on the Division, which they did in terms of resources, why they basically have not made the full-blown adjustment, the full-blown turnaround. And instead, they seem to be going hard on these free-to-play games like Resurgence and Heartland. I understand that these are games that they probably want to make, with a little bit of, dollars. But ladies and gentlemen, would it not have been, in your opinion, much wiser to have allocated those resources, that is the resources at Red Storm and the resources at the studios that are working on a Division mobile game, to possibly making another Division game? I strongly believe that this should have been the case. Seeing this article here and hearing the conversation that, within them internally, they had a lot of their friends or their, people who make the Division and stuff move to other projects. It seems to me that they pursued that, Hollywood money is what I call it, so hard that they forgot that they had something really viable on hand. But we'll see how things go. They've already confirmed that they're not making another Division. Well, they confirmed that they have no plans on making another Division game. Remember, they had no plans on continuing the Division anyways. And then internally, they had conversations. So I'm hoping that internally that more conversations are had so that that direction changes overall. I've never seen anything where you leave a fan base hanging. It's wild. These gaming, publishers and studios these days, where they make some of these decisions. I think somebody from the outside, they need to get, in my opinion anyways, an outside, influence, which the ETF probably is doing. I'm not a part of the ETF, so my hypothesis is, possibly the ETF is telling them that they need another Division game, and possibly they're working on another one, maybe in testing or working on some concepts that they could test and possibly see if a Division game is viable. But you guys do these surveys all the time, Ubisoft Massive. You have the data, you have the player data, and I'm sure a lot of new people are going to show up if you make another Division game. It's a brand now. It's a household brand. Every game that comes out that's a live service game, or many live service games that will come out, are compared to the Division, in a sense, and they don't even meet up. Look at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which is one of the games that I cover on my other channel, which is supposed to be a live service game. From just seeing the game alone, I was like, man, this game is not going to be anything half as in depth or intricate as the Division itself, and this is something that a lot of studios envy. Yet Massive has 2 versions of the game where they could just basically do anything with any of those games, like a remaster of the Division 1, and that's still going to be successful because that game already has the atmosphere and has a lot of things that go with it. But these are my thoughts anyways. Nobody asked me. I'm just a YouTuber here in the corner of my own little shop, making videos and talking about this stuff. But as I'm seeing it, I just don't see how nobody else can see it, and how important and how cool and critical and possibly very successful moving this franchise forward into the paid tier in regard to full-fledged development of a game, having had all the foundational aspects already set in place, is not going to do something good for, the development team, or even make it something of a, in my opinion anyways, profitable venture for the development of another game if they were to stick with it. But these are my thoughts. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.